In this video, I'll walk you through the EFA Setup tab. There's a lot going on here. First off, you can see we have a lot of variables. All of your variables are represented here. I've turned off binary and categorical, but you can see if I select and deselect those, they disappear or appear. I can uncheck continuous, and you can see some others disappear. And now I just have my ordinal variables here. By default, continuous and ordinal are selected, binary and categorical are deselected. You can also select all shown or deselect all shown. Now the default settings over here are to run principal axis factoring rather than maximum likelihood, though you can select this if you'd prefer. And the default extraction is based on eigenvalues, though if you start selecting variables, which you do with just a left click, then it begins to guess how many variables you theoretically think there should be, just based on the prefixes that it has selected. So we've one right now, but if I also want to use this one, again, just single left click here, it now has changed to 2. I can also deselect by selecting again, just click, 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 click. If I only want some of these variables, for example, I don't want number 10, I can right click number 10, right click number 9. I can also drag over variables to select as many as I want. Let me deselect all those. There we go. Now let me select a few for an actual analysis. I'll select anxiety, decision quality, enjoyment, skill acquisition, and system satisfaction. Notice I selected 5 theoretically related sets of variables, and it guessed 5 is what I want. And I can keep it here. I can go up, I can down, I can set it to whatever I want, or I can go to eigenvalues. Those are all flexible. It also defaults to Promax rotation and handles missing data listwise, which is typical for an EFA. You can also random sample your data. If you select too little, it might warn you that it's too little. I'll just use all of the data. You can also filter by groups. So we could run a data set just for the early adopter group or just for the late adopter group. I'll run it for all. You can suppress your loadings. Suppression of loadings is when you don't display it in the pattern matrix, if it's below a certain threshold. So in this case, anything less than 0.3 in its loading will be suppressed. If you want to see all loadings, just turn this to 0. You can also bootstrap if you're on a paid plan. Bootstrapping resamples the data in order to create more robust estimates. It does take some time though, because it's running the entire model 1,000 times or more. Notice when you click on this, it says this will take a little bit of time. And the more you do, the longer it will take. I'm going to uncheck this. I do not want to bootstrap for this analysis. Well, once you're ready, just click Run EFA. It starts running, and it shouldn't take long. There we go. The first thing you'll see is a summary. And this summary is a summary of your analysis. So in this case, we ran an exploratory factor analysis using principal axis factoring and Promax rotation, extracting factor scores based on theory fixed to 5 factors. Missing data was handled listwise, and the sample size for the EFA was 378. Total number of variables included was 32. So this is just based on whatever you ran. You can copy that and paste it into your write-up. And then here's a summary of the findings. It takes a look at all of the analyses and reports whether or not you met expected or desirable thresholds. This is just meant to help you interpret your analysis. I'm not going to go through all of it right now, but you can just copy this summary right out into a report. You can also copy the entire EFA, which I'll show you now. Copy, go over to Word and paste that in there. And it pastes the entire EFA report. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here, even some figures. And the pattern matrix, which we'll look at later. Lastly, at least for this video, you can export the factor scores. These are Bartlett's scores implied by the pattern matrix. So we're not going to interpret the pattern matrix right now, but it says we have 5 factors. So if we were to produce factor scores, we would end up with 5 factors, with the first one being for the enjoy variables, second for anxiety, third for decision quality, and so on. I'll click export just so you can see what this looks like. And here they are, 5 factors. So if I were doing this and using these factors, I would probably come in and rename them something like enjoy, anxiety, etc. And then save it again. You can always upload data like this into SEMwise instead of latent factors. Well, I hope that was helpful. In the next video, we'll take a look at some of these options here.